the great California exodus, now leaving Los Angeles in the dust, Tinseltown in tumult. And New York, well, of course, the second biggest media empire shrinking by the day. Today we'll tell you why now it's reaching a point of no return with the census on the way. And guess what? Representation in Congress shrinking, sinking, and residents of California, New York in total disarray. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel that continues to untangle what the movie stars might tell you, especially when it's wrong. And often, it just so happens to be, well, you know, wrong. Folks, as we dive in, click the like button, drop a comment down below, let us know your thoughts. And if you see the hype, well, the time is always ripe to hit that hype button. Folks, it's time to talk about Exodus, and we're not speaking of the Bible right now. The New York Post has this one, got the blues. New York, California will lose a combined 6 House seats after 2030, census figures analysis shows. This is by Carl Campanile and Alex Oliveira. The reason we're covering this, folks, is not because we care about the census. That's not what we're into, but we are into the biggest media markets in the U.S., and if they are digressing, regressing, losing all kinds of people, then that's worth talking about. So let's do it. Let's have at it. It's the blue state blues, says the New York Post. Democratic strongholds, New York and California, aka the two biggest media markets in the country, are expected to lose a massive amount of DC voting power after 2030, aka 4 years from now, as hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, of residents flee high costs driven by decades of lefty policy making, experts and a shocking new study said. New York and California could each lose nearly 10% of their congressional representation after the next U.S. Census is conducted in 2030. Again, folks, let me say it again. 10%. And they don't want us to tell you it's an exodus. And they don't want us to tell you that Gavin Newsom might not be the best guy to be leading the Tinseltown crew. The Empire State poised to lose 2 seats. California expected to drop 4, according to a new analysis of census numbers from the redistricting network that showed both state populations shrinking or stagnating. By the way, the 4th largest media market, I believe, is Chicago, and it too, Illinois, is looking to lose. Who's going to win? Texas, Florida so far being named as winners, and we won't know for 4 more years how this all plays out and which other states get the numbers. Guys and girls, if we're looking at California, Hollywood losing these kinds of numbers, culture, I got to say, burning down an area the size of the city of Paris within Los Angeles and having 7 homes rebuilt so far, probably not a great idea. Probably not a great idea. And watching as the movie industry collapses and those jobs go elsewhere, probably not a good idea, culture. What do you make of the idea that the exodus we've been talking about really is happening and nobody is clamoring to get over to LA or New York anymore? They've all gone away to places like Texas, Florida, Tennessee, etc.
It's almost as if people feel like that particular state and that specific area is being mismanaged. You know, leadership is, a mess and has been doing exactly the wrong thing to draw in more business and to enable an actual recovery. Instead, they've been frivolously spending elsewhere. That's what I think. I think perhaps people have come to the realization that whatever's happening there isn't good, which would include major corporations, not just oil companies, which they've lost 7, but also, coffee companies. Dutch Brothers doesn't they moved. They're not in California anymore. Starbucks, they're pulled out of California. Fast food is almost non-existent or becoming non-existent in the state of California unless it's automated. I feel like there's not job growth in California. I think it's not necessarily extraction, but it's retraction.
Let's talk about that. Lauren, there was a time when this guy right here was the basis for the Tony Stark that RDJ plays. Elon Musk was the inspiration. Then something happened in politics, and now this man is considered to be, extremely on the other side of things and the wrong side of history. Although I'm not sure that he changed really any of his beliefs or positions. Seems to me that California did. He took all of his businesses out of there. Tesla is now located in Texas. XAI is essentially located in Tennessee, and SpaceX is located in Texas and Florida. And you've seen a lot of other companies doing so. Wow. The entertainment companies have fled. And by the way, considering Elon owns X, I think he might be one of the biggest entertainment individuals out there. And it's going to continue on as tech companies largely take over entertainment. Lauren, these, California and New York are no longer the meccas of what people want to consume.
I do want to push back and give a slight correction and say that the inspiration for Tony Stark was Tony Stark. And if you want to get real technical, the inspiration for Tony Stark was Howard Hughes. But besides that...
Coming for you in a minute, Lauren. You hang tight. You and your smug denial of my Elon Musk reference.
I would say that perhaps Tony Stark was an inspiration for Elon Musk. Perhaps.
I hear the nervousness in your voice. You get ready, buddy.
But what I would say is that anybody is going to look at the situations in New York and California and say, this is ridiculous. We can't do business here. When it becomes so punitive to do business in a location, you're going to do anything that you can to move someplace that is more reasonable, that allows you to do business without trying to confiscate all of the profits that you yourself have generated. So this is not surprising. When you take an attitude that what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine as well, that's a recipe for chasing people out. And those who can get out will. Those who can't will then have to learn a hard lesson.
I just want people to know that, yes, I am this desperate to win one over on Lauren. Lauren, you've bested me repeatedly over and over. You keep winning at bets. I keep having to do things that I regret. Lauren, I've been waiting a long time for you to step into it.
They did model Iron Man in the movies after me.
Yes.
So
you were in the Iron Man movie, right?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. and Favreau met with me. And toured SpaceX. So
hang on, Lauren. I didn't understand that. Hang on.
Favreau met with me. And toured SpaceX. So in fact,
sure, in the movies, but Tony Stark well predates the cinematic Iron Man.
Yes, but the new iteration. Lauren, they ran the real life Tony Stark and everybody else out there with any sense in their head. They ran them out of the state, and it's happening in New York. In fact, New York is worse. New York City now is under socialism, like really and truly. Mamdani hasn't even hardly been mayor, and he's coming out and saying they're facing something bigger than the Great Recession. It's like the other states are looking at New York and saying,
well, duh.
Feel that. I don't know what you're doing up there, but that's not how it is in these other places.
Yeah, it's insane fiscal policy from people who don't understand how economics work.
Well, let me just point out that in New York City, if you didn't already do this, Mamdani came out today to talk about the fact that they have to raise taxes on the ultra rich. The ultra rich have relocated. They went to Florida. They went to the other states that we've already talked about. Go ahead.
Just a real quick. I need a Snopes fact check with you.
Go ahead.
Is it true that movie stars are, in fact, often ultra rich?
I don't even know. To be fair, I mean, it seems like so many of them end up destitute and on the streets later in life. I would say that people who trust their money managers and they have quality agents and people that are looking out for not only the agent's best interest, but also for the star's best interest so they can continue to get paid. Oftentimes they're okay. So somebody like, let's say, Robert Downey Jr., he's probably fine. But
Jojo Siwa.
Well, I don't know about Siwa, but I do know that guy from Nickelodeon is not looking so good these days. Yeah, but honestly, let's just talk about the fact that there are certain parts of this country that have business practices that are not for business. They're actually anti-business, and they're driving out large corporations that have supported enormous tax bases that they can ill afford to lose. And that includes the big tech companies, bro. You pointed one out. Think about the fact that Tennessee is absorbing giant chunks of the tech world right now.
Yeah, the Colossus supercomputer over in Memphis. And listen, folks, Memphis, we love you if you live in Memphis, but Memphis would not be my pick of where I would put a supercomputer. I'll just tell you. But apparently the Mississippi River really matters, and the state gave Elon an offer he couldn't refuse. But culture, really where I want to go with this is, and folks, I apologize. We'll try to pause whatever the heck that was. Okay.
That was weird.
It was weird. Here's the bottom line. Culture, the celebrities, they live in New York and California and oftentimes France, Monaco, et cetera, whatever. But they live in New York and they live in California. And every day they get up and they tell the average American living in Oklahoma or South Dakota or Alabama or wherever, New Hampshire, they tell them that they know the best way to be. They know the right way to live. And you rubes, get on board with what we do. And while they're telling them that, their industry is in full-blown collapse and people are fleeing their home states like crazy.
Yeah.
There's a cognitive dissonance here that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I talk about this regularly on my channel, and I love to talk about it here as well. But Oregon is losing business. California is losing business. Major centers of tech and like the forward-thinking people, they're losing their populace. They're going elsewhere. They need jobs. They need something that's sustainable. They also need people that make energy. Do you realize that the most driven technologies these days require power?
Electricity, you mean?
Yeah, electricity. So they have to go to where people like actually make it. And that's a big problem. California is the most unfriendly business environment you could create. The regulations begin not just from forming the business itself, but from trying to acquire a place to even rent or build or what it requires to even do the building. Oregon's not better. Washington is not better. The three westernmost states in the United States that are landlocked, not Hawaii, but those states outside of Alaska, they require the most amount of regulation to be fulfilled before you can even get your oar in the water to start rowing. That is not a positive sign for the future of this country or those specific states. New York has its own problems and a few others. Maine is not exactly going the right way. They're rowing the wrong direction. And the entire country of Canada, who happens to be America's hat, speaking of chapeaus, is not doing well in the business area either. They're losing business to the United States and states that are more favorably oriented towards doing business.
I just want you to know, Culture, you just lost 3 of your subscribers from Quebec.
I don't think so.
Lauren, I'm going to go to you as the prognosticator of prognosticators. I'm going to let you wrap this one up with this question. Will California, and maybe let's set New York to the side for a minute, but will California become the next Detroit? Or will they save it before that actually happens?
California is interesting because, it's a little bit like my state in a way in that it's controlled basically by one major county, and where that county goes, the rest of the state goes. I think that there is a significant amount of people in California who wishes that things were not that way. If things get bad enough, I think there's a possibility that maybe they'll actually decide to change something. New York, I think, is chasing away all their business, and that is making things really difficult for them, I think, in the near future. So I'm hoping both of these locales can actually learn a lesson that these politics actually do matter, that holding these luxury beliefs eventually does bite you, but if you don't understand how things work. But only time will tell. There may be a certain segment of the population that likes things this way. And so we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know if I would say that they would become Detroit because they're not these are not heavy industry players. They're just centers of business. And I think that when you lose things like manufacturing and building things, that's a lot harder to recover from. Business can recover if you get friendly policies that come back in. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Good night, game over, drive home safely. Folks, this video is done. But before we all head home, we only ask one thing. Folks, as you get ready to head on out, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below and share your thoughts, for a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Waste not that beautiful personality of yours. And folks, we would say as you get ready to head out the door, that it has been an honor to spend time with you, an attitude of gratitude each and every time that you elect to join together with us. Breaking bread and breaking entertainment, well, the industry. No, we like entertainment. It's the industry that irks us sometimes. Well, it was a good time. We hope you had a good time. Folks, until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.